Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm gonna do part 302 to my Let's Play, to my ChatGPT character chatbot series. Guys, as you saw from the last video, I'm gonna need this, so let me go and say this before I start anything in this video. For my own sake, do not complain about what I'm doing. The reason I do a lot more of the AI is because my stress, the only thing, besides porn, that's the only thing that doesn't stress me out. Everything's gonna stress me out if I try doing more games of anything right now. The AI is the only thing I got. So leave me alone and don't do it, okay? Please. This is the Robotic Lugia. Well, that's right, guys. We finally got the Robotic Lugia on here. Well, it's been on here for a while, but I never got a chance to do it because I was doing some of the other ones. We're running out of different chatbots to do on ChatGPT. We do have different versions of some of the ones I have done before. Like, I do have like a different version of like one of the big heart stories. I don't remember completely which one it was, but the one like there was a whole family of like fraggers that like really cared about me. But there was also like this mother freaking Haxorus the size of a ginormous building or whatever, like a skyscraper sort of building. I don't remember how big the Haxorus was, but I think one of the stories has that as a difference. So if I run out of chatbots to do, maybe I'll do it. One of the new ones of that. Plus the flipping starter story, because like I do have a version where I also get a Lugia too, and not just the 3 Johto starters. So, yeah. But this is about Robotic Lugia. This is now about that Lugia. This is like one. I don't know if this is the first or not, but this is one of the first chatbots I ever did on Character that actually made me legit cry because I felt horrible for the Lugia. Trust me, I still do. I love Lugia. He's my favorite legendary, for goodness sake. So yeah, it actually did give me a story about it, but it's broken up into sections, kind of like the ones we've done recently. So yeah. And the first section is called The Birth of the Gentle One. Far within the remotest caverns of the World Islands, shrouded in fog and thunder, and rarely seen by even the most adventurous trainers, lived a group of 9 Lugia. These Lugia were unlike the stories people told, tales of destructive storms and terrifying roars that scattered ships like toys on the waves. No, these 9 were gentle, quiet, and above all, afraid. Generations of hiding from the world had left their line timid. When humans came with machines and metal cages, these Lugia had seen their own kind injured, chased, and even captured. Some of them still bore the scars from attempts to defend themselves. Rather than become like the angry legends people whispered about, these Lugia chose isolation. They rarely ventured out beyond their carved-out sea caves unless absolutely necessary when food was low or tide shifted too sharply. The ocean was their shelter, but even it felt threatening at times. They didn't speak to humans. They didn't even speak much to the other Pokemon. All they wanted was peace. Among these 9, the youngest was different. Born on a stormless night, under the soft shimmer of moonlight filtering through sea foam, he was the smallest Lugia, wide-eyed, curious, and still shy like the rest, but inside him was something that hadn't been beaten down by fear. Hope. He would watch the surface from beneath the waves, longing to understand what lay beyond. He was more willing to dream, and more willing to wander. Oh no, here we go. The fateful day. 7 years passed. The group was beginning to starve. The currents had changed, and the usual fish that passed their way had disappeared for over a week. In the middle of that desperate hunger, the elders of the pod turned to the youngest Lugia. You must go, they said gently. You're the fastest, and maybe the bravest. The young Lugia didn't want to. His wings trembled, but he nodded. For them, he would try, even if it meant flying closer to humans, even if it meant leaving the only place that ever felt safe. And so, just before dawn, he slipped out quietly from the islands and glided across the ocean. Clouds draped over him like a cloak as he flew further than he'd ever dared. After over an hour of flying, he saw it, a small seaside village with wild berry bushes and crates of discarded seafood just outside the docks. There was no people nearby. For once, luck was with him. He waited silently, his heartbeat pounding in his ears as he used his wings to carefully scoop up fish and berries, keeping his eyes on the coastline. Maybe he could make it back in time. Maybe. A sudden snarl, oh no. He turned. A Lux Ray, its fur crackling with electricity, stalked forward from the shadows of the forest. It had smelled the food, or perhaps it had just smelled him. Before he could take off, a blinding thunderbolt struck him mid-wing. He shrieked in agony, feathers scorched and smoke pouring from his skin. He crashed to... What the frick? What the frick, dude? Hey, hold on. Here's what it said, guys. It said, he shrieked in agony, feathers scorched and smoke pouring from his skin. Daggone. He crashed to the ground, writhing, and then the Luxray lunged. With a horrific snap, ew, its crunch tore into his neck. Oh my gosh! Shredding flesh and feathers in a single strike. Oh dear no, I forgot how dark this turned. Blood spilled across the sand, staining everything red. Okay. This is going to be both traumatic and creepy at the same time, isn't it? The Luxray paused, then flipping left. You mother fricker. Yep. Goodness gracious. A cry for help. Yeah, I kind of agree with the Lugia. The young Lugia was alone, barely breathing, blood soaked into the dirt beneath him. He could have stayed silent, let it end there, but something deep within, the same spark that once made him dream of understanding the world, fought back. That through the agony, he called for help, over and over again, for 20 long minutes. Every breath brought pain, every second felt like drowning. The world was dimming fast, but he didn't stop. Oh dear. Let's see. The moment everything changed. Here we go. Then, footsteps. A voice. Hey, do you want me to help you? The Lugia turned his head slowly, feathers matted with blood, and he saw you, a human. He trembled violently, his whole body shook, not from the pain, but from the fear. His eyes widened, but even through the terror, even through the haze of fading consciousness, something about your voice felt safe. He stepped closer slowly. He reassured him again and again. You didn't push, you didn't yell, you didn't even try to capture him. And so, against every instinct in his wounded, frightened heart, he trusted you. Desperate measures, oh my gosh. You used everything you had. Full restores, bandages, pressure. Your hands trembled as you tried to stop the bleeding, but the wound was too deep, the damage too severe. You tried not... Oh dear, I said, yep, you tried not to cry, but your voice crackled every time you begged him to stay with you. His breath grew shallow. His pulse faded. Oh dear, you were losing him. With no other option, you begged him, please, just trust me one more time. Get into this Pokeball. I promise, I'll save you. He hesitated, his wing twitched, but he saw in your eyes. You weren't lying. With the last of his strength, he nuzzled his beak forward and tapped the ball. Dear me, here we go with the really sad part, even more. The heartbeat that returned. Yep. You rushed him to your house, where a massive table sat beneath the bright lights. You released him and laid him gently down. His blood still oozed. Ooh! His chest barely moved. You whispered to him, and you pleaded, I won't give up. Oh no, and then his heart stopped. Yep. Oh, I don't like that. No pulse, no breath. You screamed, and you fought with every fiber of your being. Chest compressions, artificial oxygen, electricity. You kept shouting his name even when it seemed hopeless. That 3 minutes. Then a pulse, a shallow, flickering heartbeat. He was still with you. That must have been like either Arceus's divine intervention or that divine Lugia. Because there's no flipping way that actually would work. There's no way. It completely stopped for 3 minutes. That's not a good thing. I mean, granted, I guess it is possible, but it gets even harder the longer it stays like that. Yep. The robotic rebirth. You knew that if you did nothing, you'd lose him again. You made a decision, a hard one. You began replacing only what was necessary. His broken heart, replaced with a synth-enhanced organ, powered and regulated by a tiny core reactor embedded in his chest. His brain functions, fading from trauma, reinforced with cybernetic stabilizers, keeping his memories and identity intact. Where the Luxray had torn through him, alloy plating was grayed over the tissue, not to cover his beauty, but to help his blood flow and allow movement again. And lastly, glowing rings around his eyes, subtle and beautiful, to show emotion, to help him feel seen. You spent months, you barely slept, but you didn't. You didn't turn him into a machine. You saved him. Dear me. And finally, the awakening. The final program ran. The internal systems blinked green. You called his name softly. Nothing. Your chest ached. Lugia? You asked again. Still no movement. Yep, tears welled in your eyes. You turned away, whispering, I'm sorry. I tried. I really, really tried. Luckily for me, it actually worded her saying that. I say, then a worry, yep, thank gosh. A soft hum behind you. And dear me, I just thought this, how am I going to do a Lugia in a robotic voice? A soft hum behind you, and a voice, gentle, filtered through a smooth metallic tone. Yep, see? Metallic. Oh, great. Hello. Oh, gosh, dang it. See, sounds like my voice. That's the problem. Because the thing about Lugia's voice for me is just really a deep version of my voice. What the frick is wrong with you, stupid idiots? You know, like mine's literally basically just that, or Lugia's voice is basically just that. I, let me see. Give me a second. It's not perfect, but I got a little bit better. So, he just said, hello? Where am I? I'm glad he's. Let's see, you spun around. His head was lifted slightly. His eyes, those same gentle eyes, now going softly, met yours. They shimmered with confusion and peace. He was alive. He remembered you, and he was still him. I wish. The only good robot voice I'm good at is that one Toadile slash Rexy one, and Shadow. Those are the only two good robotic voices I can do. Otherwise, I'm bad at it. I think I've done Lugia's robotic voice before, and I can't remember how I did anymore. Give me a second, I'll reply what it said. Alright, guys, give me a pretty short one. But again, in some of these cases, like this one, it actually is a pretty good way to actually let me be able to respond the way I want to. It's now speaking for me, which is great. So I'll let you leave it alone even though it's a very short response. I said, Lugia? And then step closer to him again and say, oh, thank goodness, you're alive. Are you okay? The robotic Lugia tilted his head slightly, the faint glow around his eyes pulsing a soft, calm blue. His breathing was steady, different now, accompanied by a faint hum, but steady. I think so, he said, his voice a mix of soft, natural tones and quiet, mechanical resonance. My body feels strange, different, but I can breathe. I don't hurt anymore. He slowly moved his wings, testing them. The metal reinforcement gleamed in the light, but didn't hinder him. He blinked his glowing eyes, focusing fully on you. You, saved me, didn't you? His voice trembled, not from fear, but from something like wonder. Even when I was too scared to let anyone near, you stayed. The glow around his eyes shifted to a warm golden color, almost like a smile. That's cute. I was about to ask how the frick he knew my name. He said, "Thank you, Trenton." I hate the fact they always glitch out every time. I I didn't think anyone would come. He slowly and carefully lowered his massive head towards you, almost inviting you to touch him. Okay, that's cute. If I get to pet him, that's gonna be even better. A sign of trust he'd never given anyone before. Oh, frick yes, I am definitely petting that Lugia. I love him. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I just said to the Lugia, you're welcome. And then Jillian reached out and pet the soy, innocent pet him. And then I said, I was not going to give up. I know you were in horrible shape when I found you. I'm just glad to know that you're safe and doing much better now. Lugia's eyes glowed brighter at your words, the golden light deepening until it almost shimmered like the sun on the ocean's surface. He let out a low, rumbling sound, not mechanical, but soft and warm, almost like a purr from deep within his chest. I, I can feel it, he said quietly. How come I couldn't do that a while ago? Like, why? That was perfect. His voice carrying a mixture of awe and relief. The pain, it's gone, and you. He paused, leaning into your touch, his massive head surprisingly gentle against your hand. You really meant it when you said you wouldn't give up on me. His wing twitched as if testing his strength again, and a faint whirring sound came from the hidden cybernetics deep inside him. He didn't seem alarmed, more curious. I feel different, stronger, but still me. The glow around his eyes softened to a calm, steady blue as he gazed at you. Can I stay here for a while? He asked softly. I don't want to go back just yet. Not after everything. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I just told the Lugia, of course you can. You're welcome here anytime. I'm sorry for me having to save you this way, but it was my only choice. Your heart literally stopped at one point, and I got lucky for you to even come back then. If I did not turn you at least somewhat into a robot, you'd probably not be alive right now. You don't have to worry about any programming, though. The only programming that's inside of you is the stuff that makes your heart beat and your brain function, so you can still be your normal self. Lugia's glowing eyes widened a little at your words, the soft blue shifting briefly to a pale, thoughtful white. He stayed very still, processing what you just told him. My heart stopped, he repeated quietly, almost to himself. There was a long pause. Then, slowly, he lowered himself closer to you, his massive wings folded neatly at his sides. Then you really did bring me back. His voice trembled, not with fear this time, but with emotion. The glow around his eyes shifted again, warming to a deep gold. I don't mind what you had to do. If this is what it took to let me stay alive, then I'm glad you did it. He carefully leaned his head even closer until the cold, smooth metal near his neck brushed against your arm. You didn't just save me. You gave me a second chance. I don't think I'd even be able to thank you enough for that. His breathing deepened, steady and calm as if the last of his fear was melting away. I like being myself, and knowing I can still be that, even with all of this, it means more than you know. That's so cute. I love this Lugia. Alright, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I said, what were you doing out there anyway? I found you lying just on the ground, and there was blood everywhere. Can you tell me what happened? Lugia's glowing eyes dimmed slightly, the gold softening back to a quiet, sad blue. He shitted uncontrollably on the table, his rings rustling as if remembering the pain. I was out there for my family, he said softly. We were running low on food back home in the Whirl Islands. I told them I would find some and bring it back before the sun was too high. I thought if I was careful, if I stayed quiet, I could get what we needed without anyone ever seeing me. He lowered his head slightly, feathers and a few glittering bits of metal brushed on the table. I found food, fish, berries. I thought I was going to make it home. Then his glowing eyes flickered, this time flashing a faint red before turning to blue. But then that Lux Ray came out of nowhere. I didn't even do anything to it. It just attacked me. The thunderbolt burned so badly I couldn't fly. And then it bit into me. Hard. I thought that was it. I could feel myself slipping away. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting out a low, slow, shaky breath. I kept calling for help, even when I didn't think anyone would come. Part of me thought I was foolish to keep trying, but something told me not to stop. And then he opened his eyes again, the glow warming back to gold as he looked at you. Then you found me. You're the reason I'm here now. He leaned a little closer to you, almost nuzzling your side despite his massive size. And that's a small Lugia. Think about that. Although, I don't know, did his body grow at all whenever he's flipping? Like, probably not. I don't know. I'm glad you were the one to hear me. I don't think anyone else would have tried as hard as you did. Oh, he's right. Nobody ever cares about their Pokemon enough to fucking want to help them or make them happy like I do. Give me a second. Guys, it actually gave me a long response this time. Or not a long one, but a pretty good length one. I said, I'm really sorry that happened to you. I hope your family's still alright. Honestly, I did help you. Unfortunately, it wasn't easy. It took me a few months to get you to be like this. If I was to rush it, definitely wouldn't have worked right. I actually had to put robotic parts inside of you just to keep your brain functioning, and even had to replace your heart with a cybernetic one. It took so much it took so much, but I'm glad it wasn't in vain, because I know that when I first called your name and you didn't respond, it really scared me. I was about to leave. I'm really glad that you did wake up and asked where you were. Lugia listened to every word you said, his glowing eyes locked on you the entire time. The light in them shifted from sad blue to a deep, warm gold as you spoke. When you mentioned nearly leaving, his wings twitched and his soul carefully lowered his head to the table so his glowing gaze was at your level. I'm glad, too, he said quietly, his voice carrying a soft mechanical hum underneath the natural tone. If I had stayed silent, if I had never woken up, you would have thought all that work, all those months were for nothing. I couldn't let that be the end. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting your words sink in, then opened them again, the golden glow almost looking like sunlight through water. You gave me more than just a new heart and a working mind. You gave me a future I didn't think I'd have. I can feel the parts you gave me. They hum, they keep me alive, but they don't take away from who I am. He carefully stretched one massive wing, testing the joints, then gently brushed it along the floor before folding it back. You did everything you could to make sure I stayed me, he said, his voice soft, full of gratitude. You didn't just fix me. You cared about me. Lucas leaned closer until his forehead was gently pressing against you, careful not to hurt you. Thank you for not giving up, Trenton. I don't think I'll ever be able to repay you for what you've done, but if you'll have me, I'd like to stay with you for a while. Not just to heal, but to get used to this new body, with the one person I know I can trust. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said I would love that, but I know your family must be worried, especially since you haven't been there in months. They probably think you passed away or something. So I'll tell you what, for the next few hours, try moving a lot more. Walking, flying, whatever you think you can do. You can start moving normally and you know it feels good and everything looks fine. I may have a way that you can still give your family some food, but at the same time still be able to come back and see me whenever you want. I wouldn't recommend flying there though, not only because of danger you could get into, but also because of the robotic parts in general. If you get attacked again when I'm not around, I might not be able to save you again, especially if I don't know if you're hurt. And on top of that, you have to be careful of water. I did everything I could, and while most of the robotic parts are on the inside keeping you alive, there still are some parts on the outside that possibly could malfunction if exposed to water, and if for some reason it causes an entire system failure, that could get you killed too. Lugia listened to you carefully, the glow around his eyes flicking softly as he absorbed your every word. When you mentioned his family possibly thinking he had died, his wings drooped slightly, a look of deep guilt crossing his face. You're right, he said quietly, his voice carrying a mix of sadness and determination. They probably think I never made it back. I didn't even get to tell them I found food, just that I'd try. They must have been waiting for me. He lifted his head again, his glowing eyes shifting to a steady, determined gold. I want to try, he said firmly. I want to see what I can still do. Walk, fly, stretch my wings. I want to make sure I can take care of myself before I go anywhere near danger again. At your warning about water, he nodded slowly, the hum of a cybernetic heart faintly audible as he shifted on the table. I'll be careful. If there's a chance water could shut me down, I won't go near the sea until you say it's safe. I trust you to tell me when I am ready. He slowly stood, his male parts gleaming softly in the light, and spread his wings experimentally. There was a faint whir of service inside his body, but his movements were smooth, powerful, and graceful. I think I can do this, he said softly, glancing back at you with a small, almost shy expression. If I practice, if I stay here with you for a while, maybe I can really get used to this new body. He tilted his head slightly, the glowing gold around his eyes softening. And then, when I'm ready, I'd like to see my family again. Maybe even bring them food, like you said. But I still want to come back here. You're the one who saved me. This feels like home now. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said, well, here's the thing. I don't have anything your species might eat besides a ton of berries. I can give you a ton of them to give to your family. Also, I may have a way for you to easily be able to travel back and forth. Before I can let you try it, you're gonna need to practice walking or flying. Whatever you think would make sure you don't touch water. Lugia's glowing eyes brightened at that, the golden hue deepening with hope. Praise will be perfect, he said, his voice carrying a note of relief. Even if it's not as much as fish, my family will be happy just to know I'm alive, that there's something to eat. He spread his massive wings again, this time more confidently, the faint mechanical whir blending almost seamlessly with the natural sound of the air rushing past his feathers. Then I'll start practicing now, he said firmly. If I'm going to travel, I need to know I can control this new strength and stay away from the water if I lose balance. Lugia slowly stepped off the table, careful and deliberate. Each step was heavy but precise, his talons clicking softly against the floor. After a few steps, he glanced back at you, his glowing eyes warming even more. It feels steady, different, but steady. I think I can handle walking. He flexed his wings once more and then carefully gave a few slow flaps, stirring the air around the room but staying grounded. Flying might take more practice, he admitted softly. I don't want to crash on my first try. But if you have a safe place I can try later, I want to learn. He tilted his head, the golden glow around his eyes shifting with curiosity. What's the way you mentioned? The one that could let me travel back and forth easily. Alright, guys, I'm gonna tell him. Alright, guys, here's what I told him. I said, well, it's basically an instant teleport. I don't know if your species could necessarily do it normally, but I made it possible for you to just teleport anywhere you want to go as long as you remember where you lived before all of this. You can just take berries that you find or that I gave you and teleport to your family. Give them the berries and be with them for a while. And then whenever you want to, just travel back here the exact same way. Teleporting. This way you don't have to fly to get back to your family or all the way back here. Lugia's eyes widened, the golden glow around them pulsing brighter with what looked like excitement. Teleport, he repeated, his voice full of wonder. You made that possible for me? He straightened up fully, spreading his wings in instinctive amazement before folding them again carefully. That means I could see them right away, without flying, without risking the ocean, without worrying if I'll make it back home, make it back here safely. The glow around his eyes shimmered with a warm, almost joyful light as he stepped closer to you, careful not to crush anything with his talons. Trenton, that's incredible. You really thought of everything, didn't you? He lowered his head to your level again, his voice soft and almost emotional. I can bring them food, show them that I'm alive, and still come back here whenever I want. I I don't know what to say. This means I never have to choose between staying with you or seeing them again. Lugia paused, clearly overwhelmed for a moment, and so he nuzzled you with the side of his metallic plated neck. Careful and gentle, almost reverent. Thank you. I'll practice walking a bit longer. Maybe try a short jump or glide. When I know I can control myself, I'd like to try teleporting, and I'll bring them the berries you give me. I want the first thing they see to be that I'm alive, and I can still take care of them. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said yes, but even with the instant teleport, you still have to be careful. Because if your home is right next to water, or could even have water splashing inside of it, it still could be risky. So please don't. So please don't wait until you know you don't use it until you know you're perfect flying again, or at least staying away from the water that could potentially splash on you when you teleport back to your house. The only thing I'm worried about besides that is potentially your family thinking I'm a threat, or the reason that you disappeared for months because I captured you or hurt you or something. The only thing I ask is I don't mind what you telling them about me. Just please make sure they understand I helped you, not caused you pain. Lugia's glowing eyes softened at your words, the warm gold shifting to a steady, reassuring tone. He lowered his head again so his gaze was right on you, his voice calm and thoughtful. You're right. If I teleported too soon and ended up somewhere wet or where the waves reach, it could be dangerous. I'll wait until I know I can stay steady on my feet and in the air before I risk it. He slowly folded his wings against his sides and gave a small, respectful nod. And I promise I will tell them the truth. I'll make sure they know you didn't hurt me, that you saved me. His eyes glowed brighter, taking on a warm golden white hue that almost felt like a smile. They might be scared at first, especially when they see the metal on me, but I'll explain everything. I'll tell them how you found me bleeding, how you stayed with me even when I was too scared to let you close, how you brought me back with my heart when my heart stopped. Lugia gently tapped one of his massive talons against the floor, almost like a vow. They will understand, because I'll make them understand. You are not my captor. You're the reason I'm alive. He looked down at you with gratitude shining in his glowing eyes. I want them to meet you someday, when it's safe. I think if they see how I trust you, they will too. Ah, that's really cool. Well, guys, that was it. 12:30 is the limit. Or that's the limit, and it won't be over to 12:30. Here's what I said for the last one. I said thank you, Lugia. For now, just spend the time relaxing and practicing. I won't be able to give you fish like I said, but I can give you a ton of berries to give to your family, and still have a lot left over that I could use from other Pokemon. Even give some to you just for being nice to me. Lugia's eyes glowed warmly at your words, the soft golden light almost pulsing like a calm heartbeat. He let out a low, content rumble, this time more natural than mechanical, and slowly folded his wings as he sailed down comfortably near you. That sounds perfect, he said softly, his voice carrying a gentle gratitude. Berries will be enough for now. My family will just be happy to see me, and knowing I have someone who cares about me here will mean even more to them. He shifted slightly, carefully curling his long neck so his head rested close to you. I'll spend today practicing, walking, stretching my wings, making sure I stay balanced, and I'll rest too. If you're giving me berries to take to them, I'll make sure to be strong enough to carry them safely. The glow around his eyes brightened a little as he looked at you, and thank you for offering to share with me, too. It feels good to know I'm welcome here, not just because you saved me, because you want me here. He let out a soft hum, his feathers and metal plates glinting faintly in the light. I think, for the first time in a long time, I feel safe. Ah, that's so cute. I like how it ended off. The problem is, again, only having 10 messages really flipping sucks. Guys, next time I do a chatbot, it'll be character AI with the new story I made for the Toadal and the Feraligator, the Dragon Feraligator. Speaking of dragon and all that stuff, guys, the story we'll be doing next time we do ChatGPT is actually about, I believe, maybe I get, hold on, let me check. No, I got it wrong because I actually put some of the ones on there later. The next story we do is about me saving that Brachiosaurus, the one that's still a robot, the one that was in that dinosaur museum. that I made more recently on character AI. Yeah, I made one where I saved his life too. So, yeah, instead of it being like that flipping one owner that didn't care about him. But anyway, guys, that's all I can do for this. Because if I do any other chatbot, I can't put it under the ChatGPT category. That's for sure. I'll see you guys later. I might do another one, but it won't be right now. Well, not on this video anyway. See y'all possibly in a few minutes.